ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रीमद् भागवत गीता की जय, श्री गोवर्धन पूजा की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, समावेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to today's Srimad Bhagavatam for all session. Let's recite Bhagavad Gita. Wish you a very happy Govardhan Puja celebrations. Let us recite. So we will be reciting Bhagavad Gita chapter 16 and Kunti Maharani's prayers like every day. And then I want to read Govardhan Puja pastimes from Krishna book. So we'll see, depending on how much time we have. Chapter 16. Daiva Asura Sampatti Yoga. The divine and demoniac natures. Sri Bhagavanuvacha Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhir Jnana Vyavastitihi Danam Damascha Yagyascha Swadhyayastapa Arjavam Ahimsa Satyam Akrodhas Tyagah Shantir Apaishunam Daya Bhuteshwaloluptvam Mardavam Hrir Achapalam तेजः क्षमा धृतिः शौचम् अद्रोहो नातिमानिता भवन्ति सम्पदं दैवीम् अभिजातस्य भारत. So first three were दैवी संपत्ति or the divine qualities. Next, दम्भो दर्पोऽभिमानश्च क्रोधः पारुष्यमेव च अज्ञानं चाभिजातस्य पार्थ सम्पदमासुरीम्. Asura, Asuri Sampada. Okay, qualities of the demoniac. Daivi Sampad Vimokshaya Nibandhaya Surimata Mashuchah Sampadam Daivim Abhijatosi Pandava. Krishna saying, Arjun, don't worry, you have divine qualities. Dvau Bhuta Sargau Lokesmin Daiva Asura Evacha Daivo Vistarashah Prokta Asuram Partha Me Shrinu. So there are two types of people or two types of natures, Daiva and Asura. I have already spoken elaborately about the Daiva. Now listen to me about the Asura Sampada or the demoniac qualities. प्रवृत्तिं च निवृत्तिं च जनाना विदुरासुराः न शौचं नापि चाचारो न सत्यं तेषु विद्यते असत्यम् अप्रतिष्ठं ते जगत् आहुरनीश्वरम् अपरस्पर सम्भूतं किम् अन्यत् कामहैतुकम् एतां दृष्टिम् अवष्टभ्य नष्टात्मानोऽल्पबुद्धयः प्रभवन्त्युग्रकर्माणः क्षयाय जगतो हिताः कामम् आश्रित्य दुष्पूरं दम्भमानमदान्विताः मोहाद् गृहीत्वा सद्ग्राहान् अगेन मोहाद् गृहीत्वा सद्ग्राहान् प्रवर्तन्ते शुचिव्रताः चिन्ताम् अपरिमेयां च प्रलयान्ताम् उपाश्रिताः कामोपभोगपरमा एतावद् इति निश्चिताः आशापाशशतैर्बद्धाः कामक्रोधापरायणाः ईहन्ते कामभोगार्थम् अन्यायेनार्थसञ्चयान् इदम् अद्य मया लब्धम् इमं प्राप्स्ये मनोरथम् इदम् अस्तीदमपि मे भविष्यति पुनर्धनम् असौ मया हतः शत्रुर्हनिष्ये चापरानपि ईश्वरोऽहम् अहं भोगी सिद्धोऽहं बलवान् सुखी आढ्योऽभिजनवानस्मि कोऽन्योऽस्ति सदृशो मया यक्ष्ये दास्यामि मोदिष्य इत्यज्ञानविमोहिताः अनेकचित्तविभ्रान्ता मोहजाला समावृताः प्रसक्ताः कामभोगेषु पतन्ति नरकेषु च आत्मसम्भाविताः स्तब्धा धनमानमदान्विताः यजन्ते नाम यज्ञैस्ते दम्भेनाविधिपूर्वकम् अहङ्कारं बलं दर्पं कामं क्रोधं च संश्रिताः माम् आत्मपरदेहेषु प्रद्विषन्तोऽभ्यसूयकाः तान् अहं द्विषतः so far we saw all the qualities of the asuras. I will discuss those in the next few days, what those qualities are. But in text 19, Krishna is saying what he will do to such people. तान् अहं द्विषतः क्रूरान् संसारेषु नराधमान् क्षिपाम्यजस्रम् अशुभान् आसुरीष्वेव योनिषु. I will push them down to the lower planets and I'll make them take birth in asura yoni. आसुरीं योनिमापन्ना मूढ़ा जन्मनि जन्मनि माम् अप्राप्यैव कौन्तेय ततो यान्त्यधमां गतिम्. So because of taking birth in asura yoni, he will remain foolish life after life. He will never be able to reach me, attain me. त्रिविधं नरकस्येदं द्वारं नाशम् आत्मनः. Again, त्रिविधं नरकस्येदं द्वारं नाशनमात्मनः कामः क्रोधस्तथा लोभस्तस्माद् एतत्त्रयं त्यजेत्. Give up the three gates that lead to hell: kama, krodha and lobha, lust, anger and greed. एतैर्विमुक्तः कौन्तेय तमोद्वारैस्त्रिभिर्नरः आचरत्यात्मनः श्रेयस् tato yati param gatim. One who becomes free from these three doors, and then when he actually practices the either bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, then he can actually get param gati. So param gati can be Brahman realization, Paramatma realization, or Bhagwan realization. Highest is Bhagwan realization. यह शास्त्र विधि उत्सृज्य वर्तते कामकारतः न स सिद्धिम अवाप्नोति न सुखम न पराम गतिम. यह शास्त्र विधिम उत्सृज्य, one who gives up shastra vidhi, instructions of the shastra, vartate kamakaratah, but simply acts out of his own lust. न स सिद्धिम अवाप्नोति, he won't get any success. न सुखम, no happiness. न पराम गतिम, no liberation. तस्मात् शास्त्रं प्रमाणं ते कार्याकार्य व्यवस्थितौ ज्ञात्वा शास्त्र विधानोक्तं कर्म कर्तुम इहार्हसि. Therefore, Shastra is the pramana. One's activities should be based on what is given in the Shastra. Gyatva Shastra Vidhanoktam. First, to understand what am I supposed to do from the Shastras, and then you perform your activities according to Shastras. So that is chapter 16. Let us now recite Kunti Maharani's prayers from Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8. Prayers by Queen Kunti. ओके। कुन्त्युवाच नमस्ये पुरुषं त्वाद्यम् ईश्वरं प्रकृते परम् अलक्ष्यं सर्वभूतानां अन्तर्बहिरवस्थितं मायाजवनिकाच्छन्नम् अज्ञाधोक्षजमव्ययम् न लक्ष्यसे मूढदृशा नटो नाट्यधरो यथा तथा परमहंसानां मुनीनाम् अमलात्मनां भक्तियोगविधानार्थं कथं पश्येम हि स्त्रियः। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजाङ्घ्रये। यथा हृषीकेशखलेन देवकी कंसेन रुद्धाति चिरं सुचार्पिता विमोचिताहं च सहात्मजा विभो त्वयैव नाथेन मुहुर्विपद्गणात् विशान्महाग्ने पुरुषाददर्शनात् असत्सभायावनवासकृच्छ्रतः मृधे मृधेनेकमहारथास्त्रतो द्रौण्यस्त्रतश्चास्म हरेभिरक्षिताः विपदः सन्तु ताः शाश्वत् तत्र तत्र जगद्गुरो भवतो दर्शनं यत् स्यात् अपुनर्भव दर्शनम् जन्मैश्वर्यश्रुतश्रीभिरेधमानामदः पुमान् नैवार्हत्यभिधातुं वै त्वाम् अकिञ्चन गोचरम् नमो किञ्चन वित्ताय निवृत्त गुणवृत्तये आत्मा रामाय शान्ताय कैवल्यापतये नमः। मन्ये त्वां कालमीशानम् अनादिनिधनं विभुं समं चरन्तं सर्वत्र भूतानां यन्मितः कलिः न वेद कश्चित् भगवंश्चिकीर्षितं तवेहमानस्य नृणां विडम्बनम् न यस्य कश्चित् दयितोऽस्ति कर्हिचित् द्वेष्यश्च यस्मिन् विषमामतिर्नृणाम् जन्म कर्म च विश्वात्मन् अजस्याकर्तुरात्मनः तिर्यन्नृषिषु यादःसु तद् अत्यन्त विडम्बनम् गोप्या ददे त्वयि कृतागसि दाम तावत् या ते दशाश्रुकलिलाञ्जन सम्भ्रमाक्षम् वक्त्रं निनीय भयभावनया स्थितस्य सा मां विमोहयति भीरपि यद् बिभेति केचिद् आहुरजं जातं पुण्यश्लोकस्य कीर्तये यदो प्रियस्यान्ववाये मलयस्येव चन्दनम् अपरे वसुदेवस्य देवक्यां याचितोऽभ्यगात् अजस्त्वम् अस्य क्षेमाय वधाय च सुरद्विषाम् भारावतारणायान्ये भुवो नाव इवोडधौ सीदन्त्या भूरि भारेण जातो भुवार्थितः भवेस्मिन् क्लिश्यमानानाम् अविद्याकामकर्मभिः श्रवणस्मरणार्हाणि करिष्यन् इति केचन शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्त्यभीक्ष्णशः स्मरन्ति नन्दन्ति तवेहितं जनाः त एव पश्यन्त्यचिरेण तावकम् भवप्रवाहो परमं पदाम्बुजम् अप्यद्य स्वकृते हित प्रभो जिहाससि स्वित्सुहृदोऽनुजीविनः येषां न चान्यद् भवतः पदाम्बुजात् परायणं राजसुयोजितां हसाम् केवयं नाम रूपाभ्यां यदुभिः सह पाण्डवाः भवतो दर्शनं यर्हि हृषिकाणामिवेशितुः नेयं शोभिष्यते तत्र यथेदानीं गदाधर त्वत्पदैरङ्किता भाति स्वलक्षणा विलक्षितैः इमे जनपदाः स्वृद्धाः सुपक्वौषधिविरुधः वनाद्रिनद्युदन्वन्तो ह्येधन्ते तव वीक्षितैः अथा विश्वेश्वविश्वात्मन् विश्वमूर्ते स्वकेषु मे स्नेहपाशम् इमं छिन्धि दृढं पाण्डुषु वृष्णिषु त्वयि मे नन्यविषया मतिर्मधुपते सकृत् रतिम् उद्वहताद् अद्धा गङ्गे वौगम् उदन्वती श्रीकृष्ण कृष्ण सख वृष्णि ऋषभावनिद्रुग् राजन्यवंश दहनानपवर्गवीर्या गोविन्द गोद्विजसुरार्ति हरावतारा योगेश्वराखिल गुरो भगवन् नमस्ते. Want to read translation or just go to Govardhan Puja reading? Okay, don't want to read the translations. I'll quickly read so you'll know what we are reading. Text 18. Srimati Kunti said, O Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you because you are the original personality and are unaffected by the qualities of the material world. You are existing both within and without everything, yet you are invisible to all. Being beyond the range of limited sense perception, you are the eternally irreproachable factor, covered by the curtain of deluding energy. You are invisible to the foolish observer, exactly as an actor dressed as a player is not recognized. You yourself descend to propagate the transcendental science of devotional service unto the hearts of the advanced transcendentalists and mental speculators, who are purified by being able to discriminate between matter and spirit. How then can we women know you perfectly? Let me therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who has become the son of Vasudev, the pleasure of Devaki, the boy of Nanda and the other cowherd men of Vrindavan, and the enlivener of the cows and the senses. My respectful obeisances are unto you, O Lord, whose abdomen is marked with a depression like a lotus flower, who are always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers, whose glance is as cool as the lotus, and whose feet are engraved with lotuses. O Rishikesha, master of the senses and lord of lords, you have released your mother Devaki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by the envious King Kamsa, and me and my children from a series of constant dangers. My dear Krishna, your lordship has protected us from a poison cake, from a great fire, from cannibals, from the vicious assembly, from sufferings during our exile in the forest, and from the battle where great generals fought. And now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashwatthama. I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. My Lord, your Lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feeling. My obeisances are unto you, who are the property of the materially impoverished. You have nothing to do with the actions and reactions of the material modes of nature. You are self satisfied, and therefore you are the most gentle and are master of the monists. I'll read that again. My obeisances are unto you, who are the property of the materially impoverished. You have nothing to do with the actions and reactions of the material modes of nature. You are self-satisfied, and therefore you are the most gentle and are master of the monists. My Lord, I consider your lordship to be eternal time, the supreme controller, without beginning and end, and all-pervasive one. In distributing your mercy, you are equal to everyone. The dissensions between living beings are due to social intercourse. O Lord, no one can understand your transcendental pastimes, which appear to be human and so are misleading. You have no specific object of favor, nor do you have any object of envy. People only imagine that you are partial. Of course, it is bewildering, O soul of the universe, that you work, though you are inactive, and that you take birth, though you are the vital force and the unborn. You yourself descend amongst animals, men, sages, and aquatics. Verily, this is bewildering. My dear Krishna, Yashoda took up a rope to bind you when you committed an offense, and your perturbed eyes overflooded with tears, which washed the mascara from your eyes. Acha, your perturbed eyes overflooded with tears, which wash the mascara from your eyes. And you are afraid, though fear personified is afraid of you. This sight is bewildering to me. Some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of pious kings, and others say that he is born to please King Yadu, one of your dearest devotees. You appear in his family as sandalwood appears in the Malaya hills. Others say that since both Vasudeva and Devaki prayed for you, you have taken your birth as their son. Undoubtedly, you are unborn, yet you take your birth for their welfare and to kill those who are envious of the demigods. Others say that the world, being overburdened like a boat at sea, is much aggrieved, and that Brahma, who is your son, prayed for you, and so you have appeared to diminish the trouble. And yet others say that you appeared for the sake of rejuvenating the devotional service of hearing, remembering, worshipping, and so on, in order that the conditioned souls suffering from the material pangs might take advantage and gain liberation. O Krishna, those who continuously hear, chant, and repeat your transcendental activities, or take pleasure in others doing so, certainly see your lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death. O my Lord, you have executed all duties yourself. Are you leaving us today, though we are completely dependent on your mercy and have no one else to protect us? Now, when all kings are at enmity with us, as the name and fame of a particular body is finished with the disappearance of the living spirit. Similarly, if you do not look upon us, all our fame and activities, along with the Pandavas and the Yadus, will end at once. O Gadadhar Krishna, our kingdom is now being marked by the impressions of your lotus feet, and therefore it appears beautiful. But when you leave, it will no longer be so. All these cities and villages are flourishing in all respects because the herbs and grains are in abundance. The trees are full of fruits, the rivers are flowing, the hills are full of minerals, and the oceans full of wealth. And this is all due to your glancing over them. O Lord of the universe, soul of the universe, O personality of the form of the universe, please, therefore, sever my tie of affection for my kinsmen, the Pandavas and the Vrishnis. O Lord of Madhu, as the Ganges forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else. O Krishna, O friend of Arjuna, O chief amongst the descendants of Vrishni, you are the destroyer of those political parties which are disturbing elements on this earth. Your prowess never deteriorates. You are the proprietor of the transcendental abode, and you descend to relieve the distresses of the cows, the brahmanas, and the devotees. You possess all mystic powers, and you are the preceptor of the entire universe. You are the Almighty God, and I offer my respectful obeisances. Kunti Maharani ki jai. Prayers of Queen Kunti ki jai. So today is Govardhan Puja. Let us read from Krishna book. Govardhan Puja is described in Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, 24th chapter, and Srila Prabhupada has given us the Krishna book. So 24th chapter is the worship of Govardhan Puja, how the Brajbasis perform Govardhan Puja, and what are the circumstances under which this this festival was started. And then the next chapter, chapter 25, speaks about Govardhan Dharan Leela, when Krishna actually lifts Govardhan. So we will see, if time permits, we can read both chapters. Otherwise, we can at least read the first chapter, Govardhan Puja. Today evening in the temple, we have a class on Govardhan Leela, so we can discuss more there. We can hear more in the temple. But just to start our day, Govardhan Puja day, with some Govardhan Katha, I thought we'll just read from Krishna book, from Srila Prabhupada we'll be hearing. Chapter 24, Govardhan, worshipping Govardhan Hill. While engaged with the Brahmanas, who were too much involved in the performance of Vedic sacrifices, Krishna and Balaram also saw that the cowherd men were preparing a similar sacrifice in order to pacify Indra, the king of heaven, who is responsible for supplying water. So the chapter before this is the chapter of the Yagya Patnis, where the Brahmanas are performing Yagya. So, and then when the boys, because of being hungry, went to the Brahmanas to ask for some, Krishna sent them there to ask for some rice. And then they just were too busy in their Yagya and they just shoot them off, right? Go from here, don't disturb us, like that. They so what is the purpose of performing the yagyas, isn't it? Yagyarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya. Okay, yes, you do yagyas to become free from karma. And then what is the goal after you do these yagyas? The ultimate goal is to reach, to please the Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is personally there. They don't have time. They don't want to give him anything, but they're performing yagyas. So that pastime was narrated by Srila Sukadev Goswami before this chapter. So that is why, that is the connection. While engaged with the Brahmanas who were too much involved in the performance of Vedic sacrifices, Krishna and Balaram also saw that the cowherd men, so not only the Brahmanas, the cowherd men were also preparing a similar sacrifice in order to pacify Indra, the king of heaven, who is responsible for supplying water. As stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, a devotee of Krishna has strong and firm faith in the understanding that if he is simply engaged in Krishna consciousness and Krishna's transcendental loving service, so if you have a strong faith, that means you will actually be doing this only. That's what it means. That if he's simply engaged in, that means you're not doing anything else. You're doing only this. If you're simply engaged in Krishna consciousness and Krishna's transcendental loving service, then he is freed from all other obligations. And if you're not doing, then you are obliged. Then you are free from all other obligations. A pure devotee of Lord Krishna does not have to perform any of the ritualistic functions enjoined in the Vedas, nor is he required to worship any demigods. Being a devotee of Lord Krishna, one is understood to have performed all kinds of Vedic rituals and all kinds of worship to the demigods. So many yagyas are prescribed, this yagya, that vrata. No, you don't have to do anything if you're doing only devotional service to Krishna. One does not develop devotional service for Krishna by performing the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. This is another myth, right? That I'll do all this vrata, that vrata, by this my bhakti will increase. No. One does not develop devotional service for Krishna by performing the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies or worshipping the demigods. But it should be understood that one who is engaged fully in the service of the Lord, has already fulfilled all Vedic injunctions. In order to stop all such activities by his devotees, Krishna wanted to firmly establish exclusive devotional service during his presence in Vrindavan. Because he is the omniscient personality of Godhead, Krishna knew that the cowherd men were preparing for the Indra sacrifice. Krishna, as Paramatma, knew everything. What's going on, why, the preparations that are going on are for Indra Yagya, why they're doing, he knew. But as a matter of etiquette, he began to inquire with great honor and submission from elder personalities like Maharaj Nanda. Krishna asked his father, "My dear father, what is this arrangement going on for a great sacrifice? What is the result of such a sacrifice? And for whom is it meant? How is it performed? Will you kindly let me know? I am very eager to know this procedure. So please explain to me the purpose of this sacrifice." Krishna, 7-year-old boy, right? Going and asking. All the elder members are busily arranging for this big sacrifice. Upon this inquiry, his father Nanda Maharaj remained silent, thinking that his young boy would not be able to understand the intricacies of performing the yajna. Krishna, however, persisted. "My dear father, for those who are liberal and saintly, there is no secrecy. They do not think anyone to be a friend, an enemy, or a neutral party, right? If you're hiding from me, a liberal person doesn't see anyone as an enemy, nor as a friend, nor as a neutral party, because they're always open to everyone. So a noble person, great person will have no secrets. And even for those who are not so liberal, nothing should be kept secret from the family members and friends. Although secrecy may be maintained for persons who are inimical. Therefore, you cannot keep any secrets from me. All persons are engaged in fruitive activities. Some know what these activities are and they know the result, and some execute activities without knowing the purpose or the result. So everyone is doing activities. Some do activities with knowledge, what they are going to get by doing that activities. Others just perform activities without knowing. A person who acts with full knowledge gets the full result. One who acts without knowledge does not get such a perfect result. Therefore, please let me know the purpose of the sacrifice you are going to perform. Is it according to Vedic injunction? Or is it simply a popular ceremony, right? It's passed down generation after generation. It is famous. Everyone celebrates it. We are also celebrating. Or do you know that this is actually prescribed in the Vedas? Kindly let me know in detail about the sacrifice. On hearing this inquiry from Krishna, Maharaj Nanda replied, "My dear boy, this ceremonial performance is more or less traditional." So it's just traditional. It's just coming in the family. Because rainfall is due to the mercy of King Indra and the clouds are his representatives, and because water is so important for our living, we must show some gratitude to the controller of this rainfall, Maharaj Indra. We are arranging, therefore, to pacify King Indra because he has very kindly sent us clouds to pour down a sufficient quantity of rain for successful agricultural activities. Water is very important. Without rainfall, we cannot farm or produce grain. And without grain, we cannot live. Therefore, rain is necessary for successful religious ceremonies, economic development, and ultimately liberation. So, we should not give up this traditional ceremonial function. If one gives it up, being influenced by lust, greed, or fear, then it does not look very good for him. I'll just keep reading, okay? After hearing this, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the presence of his father and all the elder cowherd men of Vrindavan, spoke in such a way as to make the heavenly king Indra very angry. He suggested that they forego the sacrifice. His reasons for discouraging the sacrifice performed to please Indra were twofold. First, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, there is no need to worship the demigods for any material advancement. All results derived from worshipping the demigods are simply temporary, and only those who are less intelligent are interested in temporary results. That is first reason. Bhagavad Gita is eternal. It is not that Bhagavad Gita came after Krishna, the battlefield. All the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Shastras, Puranas, Vedas, these are eternal. Yeah. So, this is Krishna's reason. Well, yeah. So, what is Krishna saying? I don't think Krishna is quoting Bhagavad Gita here, but There is no need to worship the demigods. That's what Krishna is saying. There's no need to worship demigods for any material advancement, because the results that you get by worshipping demigods are temporary. Second, whatever temporary result one derives from worshipping the demigods is actually granted by the... So, nahi, what is happening here is Krishna, I'm sorry, Srila Prabhupada is telling us what is in Krishna's heart. Why Krishna wants to reject? Srila Prabhupada is explaining. It's not that Krishna is telling Nanda Maharaj and the Gopas, this is what it is. Why Krishna is doing this, what is in the heart of Krishna, Prabhupada is saying and is telling us. So Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks later on. What Krishna speaks, we will see in the next paragraph. This is not what Krishna is telling to Nanda Maharaj, no. This is what Prabhupada is telling us, why Krishna is doing that. Krishna didn't tell them why. He didn't even tell them that he has come to stop the yajna. Krishna didn't say, I have come here to stop the yajna. He just, it's like very innocently, like a child, he's inquiring, what is this yajna, so on and so forth, like that. So the other family members may think, that, oh, he's a boy. Now today he's a boy, he'll learn. Then tomorrow when he'll grow up, he'll also perform the yajna nicely, right? So they don't know what is his intention. But Krishna, what is Krishna's intention? Srila Prabhupada is telling. So his reasons for discouraging the sacrifice performed to please Indra were twofold. First is the results given by the demigods are temporary. And second is, whatever temporary result one derives from worshipping the demigods is actually granted by the permission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That means it is coming from the Supreme Lord. Why you have to go in between persons? Directly get it from the Supreme Lord. Worship the Supreme Lord. Why worship the demigods? That's the point. It is clearly stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Mayaiva vihitan hitan. Whatever benefit is supposed to be derived from the demigods is actually bestowed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without the permission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot bestow any benefit upon others. But sometimes, so although this is a fact, that the demigods are only giving what they are receiving from the Supreme Lord, still, sometimes the demigods become puffed up by the influence of material nature, thinking themselves all in all. They forget the supremacy of the personality of Godhead. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is clearly stated that in this instance, Krishna wanted to make King Indra angry. So what is Krishna's intention? He wanted to make King Indra angry because Indra also began to believe that he is the one who's actually giving them rain and they are completely dependent on him. If it were not for him, they would all just die, right? So now they owe him that sacrifice and he is the one who's actually benedicting them, forgetting that he is also dependent on the Supreme Lord. He's like a postman taking from the Supreme Lord and giving. He's in between person. Rather, now he begins to think that, yes, I am doing everything. Of course, Indra is not a demon. Indra is a devotee. But Krishna, sometimes when devotees become angry, then Krishna, gives a slap just to bring them back on track. So Krishna's advent was especially meant for the annihilation of the demons and protection of the devotees. King Indra was certainly a devotee, not a demon, but because he was puffed up, Krishna wanted to teach him a lesson. He first made Indra angry by stopping the Indra Puja, which had been arranged by the cowherd men in Vrindavan. So this had been going on for generations and generations every year. It would still be going on. Yeah, instead of Govardhan Puja in Vrindavan today, they would probably be celebrating Indra Puja. But that was before the advent of Krishna, they were doing it. So this is when Krishna is 7 years old. So this incident happened. With this purpose in mind, Krishna began to talk as if he were an atheist, supporting the philosophy of karma mimamsa. Karma mimamsa means it's karmavada, right? That means work is everything. There is no Supreme Lord or gods, nothing. If you work, you'll get the result. If you don't work, you don't get the result. Even if there is God, he cannot give you result unless you work. So you simply worship your work and you do your work. That's karma mimamsa. So Krishna began to talk as if he were an atheist, supporting the philosophy of karma mimamsa. Advocates of this philosophy do not accept the supreme authority of the personality of Godhead. They put forward the argument that if anyone works nicely, the result is sure to come. Their opinion is that even if there is a God who gives man the result of his fruitive activities, there is no need to worship him, because unless man works, he cannot bestow any good result. That means that Supreme Lord cannot give you any result unless you work. This is Karma Mimamsa. This is not a fact, though. This is just the Karma Mimamsa philosophy. They say that instead of worshipping a demigod or god, people should give attention to their own duties, and thus the good result will surely come. Lord Krishna began to speak to his father according to these principles of the Karma Mimamsa philosophy. Now listen to what. Huh? Doing Indra Yagya comes under duty. How? Already Nanda Maharaj said this is traditional. It's just coming. It's like a, it's not something which is actually prescribed in the Vedas, that all living entities must do Indra Puja or all Vaishyas must do Indra Puja. Where is it mentioned? Right? Duties. What do you see in Bhagavad Gita? What are the duties for Vaishyas? Krishi, Goraksha, Vanijam, right? Agriculture, cow protection, and trade, banking. This is the duties for Vaishyas. It doesn't say Indra Puja is the duty for Vaishya or any other demigod worship. It's not said. So it's not his duty. My dear father, he said, I don't think you need to worship any demigod for the successful performance of your agricultural activities. Every living being is born according to his past karma and leaves this life simply taking the result of his present karma. Everyone is born in different types or species of life according to his past activities, and he gets his next birth according to the activities of this life. That means who's playing here? Just your karma. Different grades of material happiness and distress, comforts and disadvantages of life are different results of different kinds of activities from either the past or present life. So what you are today is the result of your past activities. That's all. There's no need of worshipping anyone or doing anything like that. Maharaj Nanda and the other elder members argued that without satisfying the predominating God, one cannot derive any good result simply by material activities. This is actually the fact. And Srila Prabhupada explains how. For example, it is sometimes found that in spite of first-class medical help and treatment by a first-class physician, a diseased person dies, right? They did everything. Like in another case, it became completely successful. The surgery was successful, the person lived. And the same doctor, same treatment, same medicine, same disease, and in another person's case, he died. How will you explain this? It is concluded, therefore, that first-class medical treatment or the attempts of a first-class physician are not in themselves the cause for curing a patient. There must be the hand of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, a fathers and mothers taking care of their children is not the cause of the children's comfort. Sometimes it is found that in spite of all care by the parents, the children go bad or succumb to death. Therefore, material causes are not sufficient for results. In Bhagavad Gita also we see, for every activity there are 5 causes. What are the 5 causes? The place means this body, sthanam. Then the karta means the false ego, the senses, the endeavor, and Paramatma. Paramatma is also there. 5 factors. So first 4 are material, but what about the 5th one? The 5th one is Paramatma. Paramatma is required for every activity. Simply material activity will not give result. There must be the sanction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nanda Maharaj therefore advocated that in order to get good results for agricultural activities, they must satisfy Indra, the superintending deity of the rainfall. Lord Krishna nullified this argument, saying that the demigods give results only to persons who have executed their prescribed duties. Right? If you do your dharma, then only. If you act in a sinful way, the demigod, and you worship the demigods, he cannot give you the result. The demigods cannot give any good results to the persons who has not executed the prescribed duties. Therefore, demigods are dependent on the execution of duties and are not absolute in awarding good results to anyone. So why should one care about them? Krishna saying, my dear father, Lord Krishna said, there is no need to worship the demigod Indra. Everyone has to achieve the result of his own work. We can actually see that one becomes busy according to the natural tendency of his work. And according to that natural tendency, this is called guna karma vibhagashaha. Right? Chaturvarnya maya system guna karma vibhagashaha means the society is divided into four varnas based on what? Guna karma. Based on his, what is said here, tendency, natural tendency, guna, and his work, karma. So we can actually see that one becomes busy according to the natural tendency of his work. And according to that natural tendency, all living entities, whether human beings or demigods, achieve their respective results. All living entities achieve higher or lower bodies and create enemies, friends, or neutral parties only because of their different kinds of work. So this karma is what is deciding what type of birth you will get, what type of body, what type of circle of friends or family. Everything is decided by your work, karma. One should be careful to discharge duties according to his natural instinct and not divert attention to the worship of various demigods. The demigods will be satisfied by proper execution of all duties. So there is no need to worship them, right? If you do your duty, they are satisfied, they'll give you the result. Even if you didn't worship them, if you simply did your duties, they will give the result. Let us rather perform our prescribed duties very nicely. Actually, one cannot be happy without executing his proper prescribed duty. And let's say if you're simply worshipping the demigods and not doing your duty, can you be happy? No. One who does not therefore properly discharge his prescribed duties is compared to an unchaste wife. The proper prescribed duty of the Brahmanas is the study of the Vedas. The proper duty of the royal order, what the duties are also mentioned. Krishna is clearly saying what are the duties for human beings, right? The proper prescribed duty of the Brahmanas is the study of the Vedas. The proper duty of the royal order, the Kshatriyas, is engagement in protecting the citizens, administration. The proper duty of the Vaishya community is agriculture, food production, trade, and protection of the cows. And the proper duty of the Shudras is service to the higher classes, namely the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. We belong to the Vaishya community, and our proper duty is to farm, trade, agricultural produce, and protect cows or to take to banking. Krishna saying, we are Vaishyas, this is our duty. Krishna identified himself with the Vaishya community because Nanda Maharaj was protecting many cows and Krishna was taking care of them. He enumerated 4 kinds of business engagements for the Vaishya community, namely agriculture, trade, protection of cows, and banking. Although the Vaishyas can take to any of these occupations, the men of Vrindavan were engaged primarily in the protection of cows. Krishna further explained to his father, this cosmic manifestation is going on under the influence of the 3 modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. These 3 modes are the causes of creation, maintenance, and destruction. The cloud is caused by the action of the mode of passion. Therefore, it is the mode of passion which causes the rainfall. And after the rainfall, the living entities derive the result, success in agricultural work. What is the result of rainfall? Success in agriculture. What then has Indra got to do with this affair? Even if you do not please Indra, what can he do? We do not derive any special benefit from Indra. Even if he is there, he pours water on the ocean also, where there is no need of water. So he is pouring water on the ocean or on the land. It does not depend on our worshipping him. As far as we are concerned, we do not need to go to another city or village or foreign country. There are palatial buildings in the cities, but we are satisfied living in this forest of Vrindavan. Our specific relationship is with Govardhan Hill and Vrindavan forest and nothing more. I therefore request you, my dear father, to begin a sacrifice which will satisfy the local Brahmanas and Govardhan Hill, and let us have nothing to do with Indra. After hearing, after hearing this statement by Krishna, Nanda Maharaj replied, my dear boy, since you are asking, I shall arrange for a separate sacrifice for the local Brahmanas and Govardhan Hill. But for the present, let me execute this sacrifice known as Indra Yagya. So Krishna will say what? But Krishna replied, my dear father, don't delay. The sacrifice you propose for Govardhan and the local Brahmanas will take much time. Right? You're saying you'll do some other time. It'll take a lot of time. Better take the arrangement and paraphernalia you have already made for the Indra Yagya and immediately engage them to satisfy Govardhan Hill and the local Brahmanas. Maharaj Nanda finally relented. All right. The cowherd men then inquired from Krishna how he wanted the yagya performed, and Krishna gave them the following directions. Prepare very nice foods of all descriptions from the grain and ghee collected for the yagya. Whatever you collected for this yagya, all the ghee and grain, use it to prepare nice preparations. Prepare rice, dal, then halwa, pakoda, puri. Okay, this much we can prepare, right? Rice, dal, halwa, pakoda, and puri. And all kinds of milk preparations such as sweet rice, rabdi, sweet balls, sandesh, rasgulla, and laddu. And invite the learned brahmanas who can chant the Vedic hymns and offer oblations to the fire. The brahmanas should be given all kinds of grain in charity. Then decorate all the cows and feed them well. Where will we get cows to feed here? After performing this, give money. Maybe go to Tanner's brother's farm. I don't know if they'll allow us to feed them. After performing this, give money in charity to the Brahmanas. Give money in charity to the Brahmanas. As far as the lower animals are concerned, such as the dogs and the lower grades of people, such as the Chandalas or the fifth class of men who are considered untouchable, they also may be given sumptuous prasadam. After nice grasses have been given to the cows, the sacrifice known as Govardhan Puja may immediately begin. So first feed everyone. Then the sacrifice of Govardhan Puja may begin. This sacrifice may immediately begin. This sacrifice will very much satisfy me. In this statement, Lord Krishna practically described the whole economy of the Vaishya community. In all communities in human society, including the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, Chandalas, etc., and in the animal kingdom, including the cows, dogs, goats, etc., everyone has his part to play. Each is to work in cooperation for the total benefit of all society, which includes not only animate objects, but also inanimate objects like hills and land. The Vaishya community is specifically responsible for the economic improvement of the society. And how economic improvement? Not by factories and industries and all that. No, economic improvement of the society by producing grain, by giving protection to the cows, by transporting food when needed, and by banking and finance. About this banking and finance, it is said that this is when there is no other way, one may earn their livelihood through banking, because this is actually a sinful activity, Shastra says. But it's allowed for Vaishyas. It's like when nothing else, you're not able to survive through agriculture, cow protection, and trade, then you may take help from this. That means you lend someone money or you deposit money and then you get interest. You survive by interest. That is very low. It's condemned, that type of livelihood. Earning one's livelihood is condemned. But for Vaishyas, if there is all the others are not possible, then as a last option, they may resort to this. But as soon as they get an opportunity to do the others, they should just do those, not this. From this statement, we learn also that although the cats and dogs, which have now become so important, so we see about cows, and then also lower animals are fed. So from this statement, we learn also that although the cats and dogs, which have now become so important, are not to be neglected. It doesn't mean that we hate cats and dogs and, we hang them. No, they are also not to be neglected. But even though they are not to be neglected, cow protection is actually more important than protection of cats and dogs. Here now more. Exactly. Cows are sent to slaughterhouses. They are raised to be slaughtered. And then cats and dogs have all these protection, right? You have their veterinary hospitals and so on and so forth. And they even get shots like human beings and so many things they do. Clothes, etc. Another hint we get from this statement is that the chandalas or the untouchables are also not to be neglected by the higher classes. So sometimes we may have this idea, oh, varnashram system means, they kind of, the upper classes, they exploit the lower classes, making them outcasts and this and that. No. See, another hint we get from this statement is that the chandalas or the untouchables are all, everyone lives in their own community, no doubt about that. All the Kshatriyas have their own community, Vaishyas live in their community, Brahmanas live in their community, Shudras live in their community, Chandalas live in their community. That's not a problem, right? So they can interact with each other. That's not a problem. Another hint we get from this statement is that the Chandalas or the untouchables are also not to be neglected. The point is they are also protected by the higher castes. They are also given their livelihood, their maintenance, and they should also progress in their spiritual life. That is the responsibility of the king. And materially also they are provided for, and spiritually also. Yes, also not to be neglected by the higher classes and should be given necessary protection. Everyone is important, but some are directly responsible for the advancement of human society and some are only indirectly responsible. Like the work of the head cannot be done by the toes, right? The brain work cannot be done by the toes. But the toes have their duty, legs have their duty, hands have their function. Every part is important for the upkeep of the body. Everyone is important, but some are directly responsible for the advancement of human society and some are only indirectly responsible. How indirectly? They'll be assisting. However, when Krishna consciousness is there, then everyone's total benefit is taken care of. The sacrifice known as Govardhan Puja is observed in the Krishna consciousness movement. Lord Chaitanya has recommended that since Krishna is worshipable, so his land Vrindavan and Govardhan Hill is also worshipable. To confirm this statement, Lord Krishna said that Govardhan Puja is as good as worship of him. From that day, Govardhan Puja has been going on and is known as Annakuta. In all the temples of Vrindavan or outside of Vrindavan, huge quantities of food are prepared in this ceremony and are very sumptuously distributed to the general population. So that's another thing. Generally, festival means we just prepare and we celebrate at home, we eat and it's over. It is supposed to be distributed. That's the culture. So huge quantities of food are prepared in this ceremony and are very sumptuously distributed to the general population. Sometimes the food is thrown to the crowds and they enjoy collecting it off the ground. From this, we can understand that prasadam offered to Krishna never becomes polluted or contaminated, even if it is thrown on the ground. The people therefore collect and eat it with great satisfaction. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, thus advised the cowherd men to stop the Indra Yagya and begin the Govardhan Puja in order to chastise Indra, who was very much puffed up at being the supreme controller of the heavenly planets. The honest and simple cowherd men headed by Nanda Maharaj accepted Krishna's proposal and executed in detail everything he advised. They performed Govardhan worship and circumambulation of the hill. Following the inauguration of Govardhan Puja, people in Vrindavan still dress nicely and assemble near Govardhan Hill to offer worship and circumambulate the hill, leading their cows all around. According to the instruction of Lord Krishna, Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd men called in learned Brahmanas and began to worship Govardhan Hill by chanting Vedic hymns and offering prasadam. The inhabitants of Vrindavan assembled together, decorated their cows, and gave them grass. Keeping the cows in front, they began to circumambulate Govardhan Hill. The gopis dressed themselves very luxuriantly and sat in bull-driven carts, chanting the glories of Krishna's pastimes. The Brahmanas assembled there to act as priests for Govardhan Puja, offered their blessings to the cowherd men and their wives, the gopis. When everything was complete, Krishna assumed a great transcendental form and declared to the inhabitants of Vrindavan that he himself, Govardhan Hill, in order to convince the devotees that Govardhan Hill, one more time. When everything was complete, Krishna assumed a great transcendental form and declared to the inhabitants of Vrindavan that he was himself Govardhan Hill. So it was Krishna in a big form in front of all the residents to convince them that he himself is Govardhan Hill. The Lord is that, like, Govardhan Hill is not just a hill, but is actually the Supreme Lord. In order to convince the devotees that Govardhan Hill and Krishna himself are identical. Then Krishna began to eat all the food offered there. The identity of Krishna and Govardhan Hill is still honored, and great devotees take rocks from Govardhan Hill and worship them, exactly as they worship the deity of Krishna in the temples. The followers of the Krishna consciousness movement may therefore collect small rocks or pebbles from the Govardhan Hill and worship them at home, because this worship is as good as deity worship. The form of Krishna, who began to eat the offerings, was separately constituted. That means there were two Krishnas, one big Krishna who was eating, and there was a small Krishna with all the cowherdmen. He was also standing there. So the form of Krishna, who began to eat the offerings, was separately constituted, and Krishna himself, along with the other inhabitants of Vrindavan, offered obeisances to the deity as well as Govardhan Hill. In offering obeisances to the huge form of Krishna and Govardhan Hill, Krishna declared, "Just see how Govardhan Hill has assumed this huge form and is favoring us by accepting all the offerings." Krishna also declared at that meeting, "One who neglects the worship of Govardhan Puja, as I am personally conducting it, will not be happy. There are many snakes on Govardhan Hill, and persons neglecting the prescribed duty of Govardhan Puja will be bitten by these snakes and killed. In order to assure the good fortune of the cows and themselves, all people of Vrindavan near Govardhan must worship the hill as prescribed by me." Thus, performing the Govardhan Puja sacrifice, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan followed the instructions of Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, and afterwards they returned to their respective homes. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 24th chapter of Krishna, worshipping Govardhan Hill. So we will not be reading the next chapter, that's another big chapter. But today is Govardhan Puja. Today is the day when this particular pastime happened. And then, of course, after this, when Indra's puja is stopped, Indra becomes angry. So he will send terrible storms and rains, to destroy Govardhan Hill, all the cows, all the Brajbasis, for listening to a small talkative boy, according to Indra, and offending him by stopping his yagya. So that goes on for the next 7 days, coming week, when Krishna actually lifts Govardhan like a mountain and calls all the Brajbasis to take shelter under the Govardhan, and holding up Govardhan like an umbrella. Indra uses all his powers to destroy the Brajbasis, Govardhan and Krishna, but finally his pride is crushed. He's not able to even, like, not even a leaf fell from the trees on Govardhan Hill with all that thunder and lightning and rain and storm. So Indra's pride was completely crushed. So after 7 days, he comes and falls and begs forgiveness from Krishna, like that. So that is this pastime. That is the next chapter, Govardhan Dharan Leela. But we just read Govardhan Puja today. I wish you all a very happy Govardhan Puja, and Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.